Hello everybody, I'm Jared Ross, a Gene Vlogger, and welcome back to another Professional Genealogist Reacts. On today's video, I will be reacting to We Tried to Trick Ancestry DNA, and here are our results. Now this video is from James and Kimmy, and I have not seen their channel before. They have 157,000 subscribers, and this is a very recent video. This is from October 4th, 2020, so these are probably some of the most recent results. Now, this is for Ancestry DNA, and I know Ancestry did a big update either in October or November, so this could technically be right before that big update. But the thing that I'm most curious about is how did they try to trick Ancestry, and did it work? My guess is that they probably tried to trick it by either like switching their kits, or maybe they put different names, or just tried to pretend that they were different people. And my guess is that their results were still exactly spot on and correct, because when it comes to the DNA stuff, especially when it comes to like your genetic matches, DNA doesn't lie. As for the genetic admixture, it still doesn't really lie. It's just that they can't tell you really spot on. They just really are giving you a scientific estimation. But I'm hopeful that this will be a very good video and hopefully very interesting. But before we do jump into it, please be sure to give this video a thumbs up. It really does help me out. And be sure to subscribe and click that bell for notifications on future videos. But with that all said, let's go ahead and jump right into the video.
It's all in me, it's all there, I can talk like that if I want to. I might start talking Irish. What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to our YouTube channel. My name is James.
And I'm Kimmy.
And today we are looking at our Ancestry DNA results. So this video isn't actually sponsored by Ancestry DNA. We did it ourselves, and we actually tried to throw them off the scent of how they could actually fine-tune our DNA results. So do you want to explain to them what we did?
So in order to really know it's real, we tried to throw them off the scent as much as we could. Because you're very traceable. With your name, they could probably guess your DNA.
The thing is, my mum had already done an Ancestry DNA, so I knew that the minute I did mine, it would match me to my mum, and the results would come out very similar to hers.
Yeah.
So for me, because I was born here, it would be very easy to find my records and find my mum, as she's already done.
If she's already done the DNA test through Ancestry DNA, doesn't matter what they do, as soon as they get his results back, they're going to see that he's her son or her father. They're gonna know for sure.
Done it, but for Kimmy, we thought, how can we throw them off the scent and not just look for her name and say, oh, this looks like an African name. Let's give her an English name and see what happens.
So my last name is Kimani, as a lot of you know. And as soon as you type that into Google, it'll tell you I'm Kenyan. So I thought that's a bit too easy. If they typed in my name, they'll start telling me I'm Kenyan, and I already know I am. So what I did is we created an English name for me. Mm-hmm. What did you create?
It was Kimberly Claire Hobbs.
Yeah, we put Kimberly Hobbs first, and then they asked for a middle name because they started getting pop-ups of Americans and people from all different places. So we thought, let's give her a middle name. So we went for Claire. So it was Kimberly Claire Hobbs. Mm-hmm. And just from hearing the name Hobbs, they started suggesting where the name comes from because it's English and all of that. So I was so excited to see what results they come up with.
I just find it a little funny, the steps that they're going through, because the assumption is that when they go through the DNA test, it's like, okay, before we do the scientific stuff and go through their DNA, let's look them up and get an idea of what they are just so we can check. They don't do that.
The interesting thing is we submitted our results at the same time. And I got mine back within weeks. Kimmy's took a heck of a long time to get her results in. And that is at that point where we thought, okay, maybe this doesn't work. Maybe this isn't a real thing. Maybe it's just fabricated. They know all of your relatives that have done it, so they just put you together and just give you a rough idea of where you're from based on the people in your family that have done it. We knew nobody in Kenya, because Kimmy's born in Kenya, would have done the Ancestry DNA, especially from Kimmy's family. So we thought, when the results took weeks upon weeks upon weeks, at that point we doubted it very, very much.
It took so long, and at one one point they sent me 2 birth certificates to ask whether this is me. One was someone English and the other one was someone American.
Yeah.
And I thought, yeah, they ain't got this.
Now, did they actually send that to them? Like, she makes it sound like they emailed her and were like, hey, are these you? I'm guessing that it was probably that they probably, you know, with Ancestry, the way that it works is the main thing that they do is they have a database of records. So they were probably looking at that name and going, oh, well, we do have birth records for this person. Is it you? And they were probably using that to try to sell or at least upsell the Ancestry membership. That's my guess.
They ain't got this. And I remember I was making a video for an update and it went a little like this. Trying so hard.
And they made a few errors.
Find a birth record of me.
Yeah.
I feel like they're not spending enough time analysing my actual DNA to prove where me and my ancestors are from. They're just trying to trace what I was.
Show the email that you're talking about. Then we can know what you're saying, because it sounds like they're misunderstanding what they're getting. They're getting an advertisement that's using the information that they're giving to try to sell them on the membership. Doesn't have anything to do with the DNA necessarily. It's kind of like for anyone who's on Ancestry, it's the Ancestry hints, the leaf that pops up. So if you're just your name, they want you to build a family tree on Ancestry because that helps optimize your DNA results, especially for anyone who's trying to connect through, you know, genealogy, build the family trees and expand their family trees. They use genetic matches to do that. And so by you having a tree and connecting it to your DNA once the DNA is analyzed, that way it optimizes your results, especially for other users looking to connect with you. So that's what I think is really going on here. So I'm hoping maybe she will show the email, but my guess is not, and that they're going to kind of play it up as like, they're not looking into the DNA, they're looking into the records, and that's how they base it.
Born to try and find my parents and then use whatever information they have there to kind of, using birth records only, to kind of make up my ethnicity. To the point I thought, they're not going to get this.
So before we look at Kimmy's results, let's jump into mine because, like I said, my mum had done it and actually my auntie from my other side had already done the Ancestry DNA. So I knew that it was going to find me straight away. However, there was a little bit of a surprise within my DNA, which I was shocked about. So just a quick little one. I was expecting a lot more of in and around Europe. I know from the Hobbs side that my great-great-grandfather was a Romany traveller, and they used to travel around across Europe, and they made their way to England eventually. So I knew that there should be, or might be, possible elements of different European countries. So let's jump into my results and have a quick look. Okay, so obviously the biggest part of my DNA, which is expected, would be English. Now, what I was actually surprised at is my English estimate is actually relatively low. It's below 50%. From my mum's side, I know there's a lot of Irish, a lot of Welsh. The funny thing is my mum actually did it, like I said, and hers came back. She is predominantly Irish. So even though my mum was born here and my nan was born here, her grandparents and her parents were actually Irish and Welsh. So my estimate for being English is between 36 and 49%. And my auntie's results, she had a lot of French and German. Mine didn't pick up the French and German, and I had a really good conversation with the people at Ancestry DNA, and they explained how results could even be different between brother and sister very slightly, because long and short of it is you take a random 50% from your mum and a random 50% from your dad. So obviously my mum being predominantly Irish, I've got quite a large estimate of Irish, which is there, 21%. Not surprised by that at all. Moving on to the next bit, which was a little bit of a surprise, was the Scottish. I'm 17% Scottish, which I didn't expect at all because I know nobody in my family who is Scottish, and the estimate range actually goes up to 24%. So the English that was ranged between 36 to 49%, there's that wiggle room where I could have had more Scottish and even less English, so that was quite interesting to see. The Welsh estimate, it popped up as 12%, but it ranges from 0 to 25%.
I gotta say, it's very interesting that he is going through the ranges. A lot of people, when they go through their Ancestry results, don't note that. Although I think that is one of the newer features. I don't know how new, But it's very interesting that he's going through that, because it does kind of give you an idea of, you know, like here, I think 0 to 25. Let's go back. His cursor was covering it. I can't find it. Okay, so yeah, so 0 to 25%. So they're saying that they could be completely wrong, or they could be, you know, spot on, and that it's really actually like almost a full grandparent's worse.
A nice little surprise here, which I did not expect, was the Norwegian. The estimate ranges from...
Not surprising at all. Most people, when they have British Isle ancestry of any sort, there's probably going to be some Scandinavian in there.
0 to 6%, so it could be, you know, more than 5% Norwegian. I might have to look for a Norwegian team to support.
Your mum's Norwegian, isn't she? Part Norwegian.
My mum is part Norwegian, so there's a little bit of wiggle room there, which was really good. But the one that really blew me away, which I didn't expect...
He said the one that really blew me away like 3 times now.
...at all, is this little 1% or under 1% here in Central Asia. And as you can see, the estimate range is 0 to 1%, but it's predominantly around Afghanistan, Pakistan, and Tajikistan, which I never thought that I would have that in me. And it just goes to show how incredible these results are, because again...
Could be possible. It could be possible. So don't take me going trace results as like some sort of, it's nothing. It isn't nothing, but it could be. So, you know, as time progresses and they update again and again and again, it could go away, could get more. And since he's had his mom test, if he had his dad test, he should get an idea of if that is coming from one of them or if it's a misread of some sort. His aunt on his father's sister, is what I assume by he means his auntie on his other side, may not have inherited that DNA that he is then inheriting if it comes from his dad. So if his dad tests, maybe his dad has like 5% or 6% or even 10%, you know, or maybe none. So
I would never thought there was any Pakistan or Afghanistan in my DNA, but it just goes to show there's potentially 1% that's been passed on for generations. You know, there's probably some Hobbs guy living out there who's got the same surname as me.
Because look how far it is from Europe.
From Europe, yes.
Yeah, it's like on different sides completely.
But I think that's the travelling part, where they travelled through. The Hobbs started in Pakistan or Afghanistan, they made their way over and they didn't stop.
I doubt that's the case. I doubt that's the case. If you want to find out that for sure, I don't know if his last name is Hobbs. I assume it is. But if his last name is Hobbs, he could just do a Y-DNA test and then see all of the matches he has and whether or not they share the same last name, Hobbs. And more than likely, if you know he's coming from an English family, my guess is if he took a Y-DNA test and did one of the matching sites, whether it's, you know, did a test on Family Tree DNA and went through their matching, or if he tested elsewhere and then did the matching through like YFull or MitoY or, you know, any of the other sites that might be available, he's probably going to see a lot of people where they have Hobbs or some sort of variation of it, different spellings. So, you know, it is kind of funny watching how they're interpreting some of this, because they seem to have kind of an okay understanding, but then they have like they don't have the full understanding of how it all is working. And so some of the ways that they're interpreting this, especially in the tricking ancestry, seems to be mostly coming from their naivety of how the tests are created and how the results are created. And yeah,
They just went from Central Asia all the way across to Europe. So I was pleasantly surprised by that. You know, that is something, again, I never expected that. So I was quite pleased with my result.
Doesn't it tempt you to, like, do the accents? Irish?
Maybe that's why I'm good at accents, because it's all in me. It's all there, you know. I can talk like that if I want to. I might start talking Irish, or I might start talking Scottish.
Might start talking now.
Or I might be in the valleys in Wales. But now it's the big one. It's the one that we were all waiting for. We threw them off the scent. Did they manage to put it back?
Let me even log in here, you guys. Okay, so now it's my turn. I was so excited for this. After months of waiting, let's see what I got.
And when we say months, they took their time.
Months of waiting, and I was so good with it that I even changed my email. I put an email down with the last name Hobbs, just so I have nothing linked to Kimi Kimani, so it all looks very different. It looks like a legit person. So, let's see what he came back as.
Well, let's start off saying it definitely found out that you are African.
Do you know what? I was very pleased with this.
It worked.
It works. Like, at least he knows I was African without even telling them I'm African.
I wonder if they'll go through genetic matches, because earlier he said, oh, well, no one in her family is definitely tested, but in reality, maybe she's had a second cousin or a first cousin once removed, or like some relative that she didn't realize tested. Maybe she knows about them, maybe she doesn't know about them, or maybe she'll recognize people where it's like, whoa, I know that name. I don't know this person, but I know that family name.
All you do is literally like a spit sample and send it to them. And with all the information I've given them, date of birth, everything, they had nothing.
Nothing.
No clue
No records.
as to who I am. They could have literally chucked anything on this paper and they would have thought it's true. So 48% Kenyan. One of my parents is lying to me because how am I 48% Kenyan? But it says it could range to 80%, so I'm very pleased with that.
Your Kenyan estimate range is 48 to 80% Kenyan. Like, you're definitely
I'm
Kenyan.
definitely Kenyan. Southern Bantu, which is more southern, so I'm 17% between South Africa and Botswana and Eswatini.
But again, look at your estimate here. That's where the Kenyan is reduced massively because what it could potentially be. So one of your parents or grandparents
must be South African. Somewhere down my line, there's a South African person who has given me at least 17% South African.
It could also be multiple ancestors on different lines. So it could be that, you know, she's getting 48% Kenyan. Could be that if her parents both tested, they may end up getting a not so dissimilar result. You know, they could be getting around 50% Kenyan as well, and they may just have a mix. Now, a big part of this also has to do with the relation between all the population groups within Africa, and you know, I don't know how the population migrations between the different groups in Africa worked, or the history of it, but that could be what's going on, is that, you know, certain people from this area moved into Kenya hundreds of years ago or thousands of years ago or whatever, and then settled down in specific communities that then had a big mix of both this DNA as well as the more local Kenyan, or, you know, there's a lot of different possibilities going on. So it is kind of interesting to see someone who's of full African ancestry. I don't know if I've ever seen a DNA result for someone with full African ancestry. Not of African American or, like, you know, Afro-Caribbean or Afro-Latino, or, you know, something where it's like, you know, there's going to be a mixture.
If not 34.
I'll take the 17% so I could take the 48% Kenyan. But for all my South African people, did you see that? Do you see that? 17% South African?
Potentially 34.
So that would be the equivalent of about a great-grandparent if it's coming from one recent ancestor.
The other ones, I'm really shocked about this, is Cameroon, Congo, Western Bantu. So 16% in that Congo Republic area, which is very high.
But look at the range on that as well.
Very high.
Range from up to 31%. So it's very close that this sort of mix of something else. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, that's very high.
Yeah.
It does act, for me, I feel like it means that there is someone in my family who is definitely, like, along the line, who is South African or Congolese.
Or from that region. Or definitely not from Kenya. I think it's a grandparent or something like that, because if you've got both of those potentially going up to 31%, that's 61% of your DNA.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
It's a high
percentage.
It's almost half of me. The one which I wasn't shocked about, Ethiopia and Eritrea, because I knew there was going to be some Ethiopian Somalian, because my mum already told me we have a bit of Somalian in our family. So I knew those ones were coming. But I didn't know this was higher than Somalian, though.
Yes, yeah.
I didn't know Ethiopian and Eritrea was going to be higher than Somalia.
Yeah.
I thought Somalia was going to be right after Kenya.
And again, up to 21% on that one as well.
Yeah, Somalia 0 to 28%.
0 to 28%.
But Somalia was 8%. But that was shocking to me because I thought I'd go Kenya, Somalia, maybe Ethiopia.
Yeah, but if you look at the regions here, Somalia, Kenya, Ethiopia,
they're
connected. So that sort of region there is quite high in your DNA as well.
Yeah. The last one was Koshin and Mbuti. I'm going to say Mbuti because I think in Kenya that's how we'd say in Kenya. Mbuti people, which is very old hunter-gatherer DNA. My Africans, where you went? South Sudan, Tanzania. But that is basically from ancestors who lived thousands of years ago in Africa who are more hunter-gatherer. So that's very old DNA, which I'm very proud about. It means I could be like a, what do they call? I'm a fossil.
You're a fossil.
I'm a fossil.
You've got the fossil DNA.
Fossil.
That's what it even says here. It's from some of the oldest back to the first sort of human beings. And if you look at the region again, Tanzania near Kenya, South Sudan near Ethiopia. So it's that sort of region, potentially up to 8%. So you've got some, you've got some strong DNA in you.
I know. Wow. So from my perspective, this actually worked.
Yes.
Like from you, I felt like they could have guessed yours very easily, but there's no way they could have guessed mine.
No.
So for me, for them to come up with majority Kenyan, I feel like I think it definitely works.
And the thing is, the way they actually test these results is the more people that do it from a region, they can better see your DNA to say, okay, the bulk of people in this region have this DNA. Not many people in Kenya have actually taken the test. So to be able to pinpoint you as being Kenyan is very impressive.
Yeah, 100%. Because even tracking the ancestors, because they link you to people, if they had linked me to like a first cousin, I would have thought maybe they got my DNA and thought they're Kenyan, so linked them up. But I can only find from like fifth cousin and forward, which is so far. They've only got like maybe 2% Kenyan and like 40% Asian. So
she really had no close relatives who have tested, at least on Ancestry. But Ancestry is the largest database, so very doubtful that there would be one on the other databases, but it's possible.
They could have even given me more from them, but they haven't.
Regions,
So I do feel like this, for me, worked.
Yes, definitely.
Do you think it worked?
100% worked, yeah. And it was good to see. They took their time with yours.
They did.
But
they did their job. They did their job.
They did their job.
I was very, very skeptical, but I did say that it could work. There's a chance it could work. So I might be saying all this, and then I check back in 2 weeks' time, and it tells me 90% Kenyan, 10% Zim, 10% South African, 10% Egyptian, or whatever.
She guessed the South African before.
You never know. It can say that, so we'll see.
We'll check back in 2 weeks. What will be interesting is to see your mum do it, because I want to see what hers comes out of where does this extra areas that are quite high come from?
Yeah.
Because it's close. It's not generations back.
It is very
one or
close.
2 generations back.
Yeah.
So
Well, it could be one of two ways. If it's one recent ancestor those specific DNAs are coming from, or the way I said that sounded weird. If it's one specific ancestor that DNA is coming from, then yes, that is very high. But there is that possibility that this is a bunch of DNA from distant ancestors on different lines just kind of adding up. So could be that it's one great grandparent who is from South Africa, or it could be that you have like 6 or 7 4th or 5th great grandparents scattered in different lines who are from South Africa. It's kind of hard to tell until you start doing the genealogy. So it could be one of two ways.
So it'd be quite good to see.
I think that's why my mum is nervous about doing it. She's scared to find out how Kenyan is very insignificant.
Yeah. But looking at it though, I think you've got like an even split from both sides.
I do.
Because some are north, some are south. Because I think you look at my Irish and Welsh, they were sort of these figures, which is quite a lot considering my mum is predominantly Irish. So
that's true.
So it's very close. I think maybe both your mum and dad.
It's the migrations of the populations and all the different people who share distant DNA. And because of that, there are shared strands of DNA or similarities. And that's why these tests aren't perfect. They have a decent grasp on it. But then there is some stuff, at least earlier in the video, where they didn't really seem to fully understand it, but still kind of came to conclusions. And those conclusions, you know, like the trying to trick it, like, you know, they're not going to do paper trail research on every single person that submits a DNA test, that, you know, and especially a lot of adoptees do it. There's no way they could really do anything like that for these adoptees. The adoptees are, you know, paying tons of search angels or getting volunteer search angels to help them figure this out through the paper trail. So it'd make no sense that Ancestry spends, you know, tons of hours doing paper trail research just to give DNA percentages, especially when Ancestry charges for their pro Ancestry services, which is doing just that, doing the paper trail research.
Dad are only half Kenyan
and half
something else.
I'm as South African as you are Irish.
Yes.
And your mum is Irish.
Yeah.
So that means one of my parents is predominantly South African or somewhere there.
Brilliant. So there it is from us, guys. We hope you all enjoyed this week's video. If you did, make sure you like, comment, share and subscribe.
And that's it. We shall come back to you with another episode when my mum does it and finds out she might not be Kenyan.
Yeah,
I need to look out for that episode.
Okay, guys, that's it from us. Take care, and we'll see you next week.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.
All right, pretty good video. You know, like I said, just like a couple of seconds ago, you know, it seemed like as they slowly went through the video, they grasped the concepts behind how they come up with the DNA a bit better, especially there towards the end when he starts mentioning, you know, well, if you look at mine where, you know, I have mostly Irish, but then I have these other breakdowns, and then you look at yours, it's not too dissimilar. And that just has to do with the fact that, you know, all of these populations that live in the, you know, what we now define by country lines didn't always live within those country lines. And the demographics that make up the peoples today, the population groups, have a lot of shared ancestry between other population groups. And that's one of the reasons why you see a lot of these similarities. So like him being surprised that he had Norwegian, not too surprising for many genetic genealogists who have worked with people who have ancestry in Great Britain, or Irish and, you know, Scottish ancestry, or even just general Northwestern European ancestry. You're probably going to find some sort of link between the Scandinavian countries. Very possible to find the French-German countries. And then especially if you're from the British Isles, if you're getting a mixture of, you know, the British Isles, Ireland, Scotland, and even, you know, getting into some, you know, areas like the Netherlands and places like that, it's not that surprising. I did think it was kind of funny, you know, the we tried to trick them, which is basically, you know, we put a fake name and we put a, you know, whatever, but technically she could have just been adopted. That was the adopted name that she had, and then she wouldn't have known anything, you know, she wouldn't even known that she had Kenyan roots if that was the case. I will be interested to see the video where her mom tests. I'll have to see if they've already brought that out. This video was from just October, so, but once they do that, I'll react to that and see what the difference is. Maybe see, does her mom have a lot of Kenyan, and is she getting a lot more of that mixture from her dad? Or maybe is her mom also similarly mixed, and then very likely her dad is just as similarly mixed, and because of that, you know, it's not one recent common ancestor that's her South African ancestor, or, you know, her Ethiopian ancestor, what, you know, it's multiple. So very interested to see what that will be like. Thank you so much for checking out this video. If you enjoyed, please be sure to give it a thumbs up. You can also click right about here if you'd like to subscribe. It's completely free to do so. You can also follow me on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram at GenieVlogger. I'm the Genie Vlogger. I will see you in my next video.